they finally answered the question of which came first, the egg or the chicken. Guess what they found out? The chicken came first. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Can you evolutionary scientists tell me how that happened? Oh, it's weird that there's a chicken and then they started laying eggs. It's that's what? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, as usual?
Nick, it's no surprise to me that you completely got the story wrong. I don't even blame you for it. Honestly, all of the major news agencies, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News all fucked this story up royally. Okay, they fucked it up and they reported results that simply were not even beginning to be part of the study. Okay, so I don't blame you for fucking it up. I do blame you, however, for assuming you understand even what the story was about, and your version of how you reported it wasn't even what's said in the pop versions of it. In other words, you're misrepresenting their fucked up version of it, and you're fucking it up even worse and promoting it. These researchers did not prove that the chicken came before the egg. That was a dumb joke made by one of the researchers in an interview. It was a stupid and very, very irresponsible thing to say. Okay, if I have time, I'll put a link up to there's a Pharyngula. P.Z. Myers did a great little thing about that. What they did do is they showed that there is a protein called ovoclidin in chicken ovaries that helps the deposition of calcium in eggshells. Okay, it helps it facilitates the crystallization of calcium in an eggshell. This doesn't mean that prior to its existence, prior to that protein evolving, that there was no eggs. Okay, or that chickens didn't lay eggs. Okay, it's basically what they have found out is that there are versions of this protein found in all amniotes, all egg-laying reptiles and birds, okay, have versions of this protein. And in fact, versions of this protein are found in pretty much all tetrapods. In fact, as far as I know, all tetrapods, because these are things like binding proteins. It's all in a whole family of proteins that use calcium for various purposes, whether it be for deposition of bones, binding tissues, or eggshell formation. So this wasn't their discovery was that there's a particularly unique version in the domesticated chicken, okay, and that this differs somewhat from wild chickens, okay. Now nobody is going to. No, we're not. Do you think that wild chickens weren't the ancestors of the domesticated chicken? Because they are. I mean, we can genetically demonstrate that. Actually, they're a hybrid between two different kinds of wild chicken that use a slightly different version of this ovoclidin protein. All right? Do you see that? They still lay eggs. All right? They're still technically chickens. They still lay eggs. They just use a slightly different protein. That's all that research did. Okay? So I hope that makes more sense to you. Again, you talk about checking facts and things like that. You don't check shit. I found as soon as I saw the article on Fox News and how they're of all of them they fucked it up the worst. By the way, as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, that's where Nick got that story from. And then I read it and realized that like you didn't even get that version of it right. But nonetheless, that's obviously you didn't read the original article. You're not reading chemical engineering journals, are you, Nick?
That's the truth. You don't know what the hell you're talking about half the time.
Project much, Nick? If I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, then by that definition, you don't know what you're talking about any of the time.
Darwin is a fucking prick, okay? For all I care, he could just be rotting in his fucking casket for all I care, honestly.
Nick, I'm reasonably sure that Charles Darwin is indeed rotting in his casket right now. I'm not entirely sure why that kind of tried to come off as an insult. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Of course he's rotting in his fucking casket. Where else would he be, right?
Sorry if I offended you out there. But, I mean, the motherfucker was a racist, and he fucking tried to make people believe that we came from apes because black people look more similar to apes. That's what he said. Or that's what he thinks. Or thought, I should say.
So in the long list of things that you've never read, Nick, apparently is your own Bible. I have to believe that. Actually, you've demonstrated that many times in the past. Especially the one I'm mostly concerned with is a section of the Bible called the Ten Commandments. Number 9 in particular, where thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. Now, you know what that means, right? Don't make up lies about people. Don't try to smear somebody's name by lying about them. So you say that Darwin's a racist. You even claim to have evidence that Darwin's a racist, and then you state that evidence because he believed we came from apes because black people look more like apes. Now, first of all, honestly, answer me this question, Nick. If you're not a completely coward chicken shit, answer this question in a comment, make a video response, whatever. Answer this question. How much Darwin have you ever read? Honestly. How many of Darwin's books have you read? How many of Darwin's papers have you read? How many excerpts from Darwin, summaries of Darwin, absolutely anything by Darwin have you actually ever read? I know the answer, of course, is 0. If you're going to be honest, chances are you'll lie about it, like you lied about reading the Koran and the Bible. So why wouldn't you lie about that as well? And I noticed you even caught yourself in one of your little fabrications there, because you stated that point about Darwin believing that we came from apes because black people look like apes. You said he wrote that. Oh wait, no, he said that. Well, no, he thought that. You're backpedaling away from your own. You're too chicken shit even to own your own words. Okay. So Darwin. I know where that quote comes from. Okay. That quote is a totally. You messed it up. Okay, you're not even reporting it remotely accurately, anyways. By the way, but that quote came from The Scent of Man, and it's been taken out of context and twisted by creationists to attempt to prove that Darwin was a racist. Now, probably by our standards, Darwin would be considered something of a racist by today's standards. That is true. But by the standards of his time, he was extremely progressive when it came to race. He stated, and you've been informed of this before. There was a black man that he was tutored by, who taught him how to taxidermy, who he had nothing but the highest admiration, talking about his brilliant mind and what an amazing individual. He repeatedly used examples like that and other people of color he met to state that biologically all human beings are the same species. All human beings have the same capabilities, regardless of race. Okay, Darwin said that over and over and over again, and he was mutually, even though scientists accepted a lot of Darwin's ideas at the time, his ideas on race were pretty much universally rejected by science at his time by saying, well, clearly blacks are inferior. Meaning a lot of scientists, a lot of Christian theologians rejected Darwin because of his views on race. Okay, so understand what you're saying before you start spouting it, all right? You just make yourself look like a shithead.
So, I mean, I don't understand. Well, he's a racist, but, he had a great mind. He just came up with this idea that we're related to apes because we look alike.
First of all, Nick, you did indeed fail to demonstrate that Darwin was a racist. And I know you will continue to fail at that. But most importantly in the statement you brought up, the most important aspect of it is that even if you could demonstrate, even if you could find outright racist statements from Darwin, you are here implying that somehow destroys his idea. In fact, you're making fun of the whole idea that it wouldn't destroy his idea. And I want you to really think about the implications of that, Nick. Think about it really, really carefully, because I want you say it outright. If anybody ever expresses racist concepts or demonstrates themselves to be racist, every other thing they say can now be thrown out and ignored, right? As useless, worthless, a waste of time, of no value, right? Is that the point that you're going to stick to? I want you to really think about that statement carefully, Think about historical figures that you respect, modern figures that you respect, famous presidents that you have said repeatedly that you respect, and really think about it, okay? I'm going to do part 4.